Hey everybody, hope all is well. Welcome to the ShabinLife channel here on YouTube. I'm Dave.
I'm Dayna.
And we thought we'd make a short video to introduce ourselves, let you know who we are, how we got here, what our plan is for the future. There's a short description in the YouTube channel as to sort of what ShabinLife is all about, but ultimately we live in a suburb of southeastern Pennsylvania on a 1/4 acre lot. We've been together for 20 years, and we sort of have wanted to make a change for a long time now to our current lifestyle, which sort of brings us to the ShabinLife.
So I guess it sort of started back in our suburban 1/4 acre home when, like a lot of people, I'd asked Dave to build me a small garden, basically to grow tomatoes and some peppers and maybe some herbs. And he did that, and it was awesome. But then we kind of got the gardening bug and realized we wanted to grow more and, you know, grow our own food, know where our produce was coming from. And so it sort of went from a very, 4 foot by
the garden grew and grew
foot.
and grew and grew from a small, like 4 by 8, 4 by 10 garden to, I think we have somewhere around 600 square feet in our backyard right now. But with that being said, kind of, I don't know, sort of limited to what we can do in the backyard.
Yeah, I mean, Dave definitely has maxed out our 1/4 acre space. He's, 2 compost bins, a shed, rain collection system, an herb garden, and, we still have a quite large German Shepherd mutt of a dog that needs space. Otherwise, I think it'd be all gardens and chicken coops. And
I'd be farming the backyard, basically.
Yeah. So we definitely maxed out the 1/4 acre that we have and decided that, we need something more. We need more space. We need more land. We want to produce more, kind of travel down that more self-sufficient lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can always, we'll try and do the best we can here without 50 edits in the video, because I feel like you'll probably jump around a little bit. But, like Dayna said, ultimately we'd have that backyard, blown out in regards to, gardens everywhere and livestock. Although where we live, and I'm sure everybody else deals with this in their suburban areas too, you're kind of limited to not only what you can have in those backyards, but you got neighbors that kind of concern themselves with when you start, putting, compost, huge pallet compost bins along the back fence, and everybody just thinks it's going to stink. But ultimately, livestock in our areas, sort of frowned upon. You probably could get away with it, but again, you kind of have to worry about whether or not the rest of the people in the neighborhood are going to be okay with it, and whether or not the township's going to have issues. And we know that if we were to put gardens all over the place and just, make the backyard what we really wanted it to be, it would probably be a little tough to sell the house, since we know that that's eventually what we're going to do. Ultimately, I guess if somebody like us came along and saw 30 beds in the backyard, they'd probably be super excited, but that's, sort of a slim chance. So we know
that's not who's really buying in our area.
Yeah. Ultimately, people want the backyard for, room to run and play and dogs and pool and all that kind of stuff. So, I don't know, it was probably years ago. I mean, we've been in that suburb for about maybe 10 or 12 years, and it wasn't probably 5 years after we bought the house that we started knowing that we wanted to kind of make a change. We sort of didn't, I mean, I don't know if we ever really liked that rat race lifestyle, and, we're always outdoor people, and we're always up, doing mountain trips and, so on and so forth. But we started to think probably about 5-6 years after having the house, and, the garden's kind of getting, larger and larger, that we sort of wanted to make a change. And I think that's probably when we started looking.
Yeah, I know for David, it's not about, we want to work hard. We want to work hard for ourselves.
Yeah, we don't mind working hard. And
kind of stepping out of that, work to buy the house that you're never in, to pay for that whole way of living just, was uncomfortable. You could feel the stress. It was uncomfortable for us.
Yeah.
And just to go back a little bit, I think what really started that for us was even further back. We spent some time, we lived in a 19-foot motorhome. It was a Dodge Falcon conversion van camper.
Yeah, Class B motorhome. It was awesome.
So,
I'll put a picture somewhere up in one of these corners.
So it, it was a self-contained, you drove in the front, it had a bathroom, it had a kitchen, it had the bedroom, but just the process of moving into that motorhome and purging and getting rid of our stuff and really giving a lot of thought to what we really needed and how little we really needed, kind of stuck with us even when we moved into, a standard 1,500 square foot home.
We still
We still lived minimalistically. We didn't really fill the house with stuff. But even that, we knew that still, it still didn't feel right. It still was like a conflict almost. You just felt like this inner turmoil that you just weren't fully happy, fully satisfied. So we, like most people, kind of started our search online for a piece of land.
Yeah, we would find, we used LandWatch a lot, which I'm sure is pretty good for the States. It's sort of limited in a little bit. You'll start seeing, we looked up for years, and it almost it was like defeatist seeing the same property over and over and over and over again. But we used LandWatch a lot when we were searching originally, and what we would do is we would find lots that we sort of liked, and then obviously if there was a listing agent for that lot, we would look that listing agent up, wherever his office or her office was, and we'd see if they had their own web page where they had separate listings for outside of LandWatch. And ultimately when you're finding somebody selling 5 acres, 10 acres, 15, 20, 50 acres, majority of the times they're not normally selling houses. They're mostly just selling, lots and land, to build homes on. So we would go to their websites and kind of check out their stuff. Google Maps we would check out.
Try and get an idea. You can do the different terrains and sort of see
if
the
you're
topography.
If you're lucky, I'm sure as you guys know, you can see, a lot layout, again, you see 25 acres, and you get all excited when you see the price and where it's at and the taxes, and then you find out that the lot's shaped like a Chinese star, and usable space is pretty much is super limited. But what we would do is we would look up like 5, 6, 7, 8 properties, and then we would get in the car on a Friday after work, and we would drive 3, 4, or 5 hours sometimes, and we would go up to where we were going, which was northern Pennsylvania. Northeast Pennsylvania is where we sort of decided we wanted to be at, and we would pretty much spend the weekend, trying to visit those properties, and if we could camp during that time, we would camp, and if we could stay somewhere, we'd stay somewhere, but we'd try and kill off seeing a whole bunch of properties. And for those of you who have looked before, that when you get to a property that's 10, 15, 20 acres and it's wooded, it's kind of tough to just make that decision on the property without trying to walk it. So some of these, some of the times Dayna and I would walk it ourselves, and sometimes the poor agent would try and walk 15 acres with us. And for those of you who know northeast Pennsylvania, it's a mountain. So the lots,
it's very rocky.
Very rocky. So we would come up, kind of see as many lots of land as we could, and 9 times out of 10 it was nowhere near what we wanted, and sort of deceiving, as I'm sure other people have kind of found out when you're looking at pictures online and you do as much research, you get up here and it's the pictures were taken in a way that doesn't show something horrendous across the way. So we would kind of come up, do our thing, and then cruise back late on Sunday, and then spend the next month trying to find other lots and land. And we did that for a long time.
A few years.
A few years, yeah. But I guess about a year or so ago,
just over a year.
We had been looking at lots again, and every once in a while you'd get something new to come up, and we sort of realized at that point we'd seen some stuff that we kind of liked that disappeared, which other stuff was staying for 5 years. So we knew then that, just like anything else, if it looks that good, you sort of got to rock and roll and at least get there to see it, see if it's something you want, and if it is, then you got to jump on it. And that's sort of what we did. We were staying on top of listings. We were getting sent listings, and we had made a plan to see like maybe 3 or 4 properties in this general vicinity that we were sort of looking for.
Which is actually a little further than we had been looking, because at some point, you know, you've sort of exhausted everything that's available within a certain parameter.
Yeah.
So we sort of bumped up our commute, and it ended up.
Yeah, we ended up being about 3.5 hours from where we currently live. And we really are happy, actually, that things, I mean, people say, God works in mysterious ways. I mean, it worked out really well because we really love where we wound up buying land at. And there was, you have this huge criteria of what you want for land, let alone a town or any of that stuff. And the chances of you getting everything you want are sort of slim to none. So you're kind of compromising, like, hey, I'll take a flat track over not having water on the land, or I'll take water over not having some sort of flat track. And anyway, good luck finding flat tracks in Northeast Pennsylvania, at least for under $1 million. But yeah, we are some of the criteria stuff, just to kind of let you guys know. And
for us,
yeah,
I mean, it's going to be different for everybody, but some of the things that we were mindful of and that were top of our
which you don't normally think about, but are
I mean. We're not getting any younger, and we plan on this being our future home as we
future homestead.
Yeah, age on. So it kind of was important to us for there to be a hospital somewhat close by, police, fire, ambulance service somewhat accessible. We looked at a few properties that were really remote. I mean, so far remote that they made me nervous. I just thought that we'll never find our way out. No one will ever find us here. And that was just a little, I know that would have been perfect for David, but that's what marriage is about, compromise.
Yeah. I'll never forget the first time we walked the land that we actually purchased, because it was thick. And you can go back and watch some of the old YouTube videos when we first got here. Majority of the front acreage is saplings and trees and a lot of brush, and then it gets more forested as you get in the back, which is sort of how we wanted the land. We only want to develop a certain amount of acres, and we want to leave the rest of it forest. But we were walking the back, and it was so rocky in areas, and there were some steep areas, and Dayna just said, dude, if you fall, we're done. But none of us are getting out of here. So we definitely needed as much as schools are important, up here, I mean, the closest school is probably 20-30 minute drive, but we wanted some sort of hospital, we wanted some sort of police, fire, all that kind of stuff, and a lot of that state run up here, but at least it's we have it. And we, to be honest, I mean, we've been up here for a year, and we haven't even really had a super chance to kind of explore and gallivant and kind of see what's going on. We've met a couple people here and there, but I mean, we have we're on 18 acres. And I mean, next to us is 14, 38. Next to that is 120, and then there's a 400
acre cattle farm.
Yeah, 400 acre cattle farm. So we're where we want to be.
Yeah.
But anyway, that kind of brings us to that's the land and kind of what's going on there, which sort of brings us to
So I guess what when we first bought the land and we knew that we needed to do some clearing and some plotting and scheming of future plans. The first night we stayed here, we stayed in a spring tent, which was fine because it was October and it was still relatively warm. But we wanted to use the land. We wanted to be here at least once a month, if not once every 2 months. We didn't want to wait until we were able to build a house to be here. We wanted to start enjoying it and really start the plans and the transition. So we needed something more than a tent, especially in the winter.
We're good about tenting it, but some of those months got cold.
So we sold that RV. We sold our RV. We took that money and we put it towards a 14 by 20 shed. Which,
just to interject, I mean, we're all about doing a lot of the work ourselves, and we contemplated for a while building some sort of cabin here, very small cabin, just to kind of buy us time over the next couple years as we came up here and worked and stayed and worked and stayed. But when push came to shove, when you kind of compared the cost of materials and driving up here and carting things and no power, no water, you know, running the generator, gas, all that kind of stuff. For those of you, I mean, I'm sure, you know, they're everywhere, but I mean, the Amish are very prominent where we're at, you know, and you know, other channels, you
excellent builders.
Yeah, excellent builders. So if you're not going to build it yourself, I think second best would be, you know, having the Amish build the shed for us. So we knew we wanted something, so we got the shed.
So, you know, the 14 by 20 shed decided to use as a dry cabin, which then brings us to Shabin.
Yeah,
so Shabin. We just started referring to it to family and friends when we were coming up here. They'd say, "What are you doing this weekend?" Or "What are you doing?" We'd say, "We're going up to the Shabin." Or we have to go do some work on the Shabin. So Shabin just sort of took a life of its own.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the shed cabin is the Shabin.
The uniqueness is, and other people I'm sure see this too, is that like we needed a place to kind of, I want to say just like, you know, bed down.
Shelter, yeah.
Yeah, like shelter, but we needed a place to store some equipment. So, you know, when we first came up here, you know, we had the brush hog, which is priceless. And maybe I'll even do a video on that. I mean, you see it in some of the past videos. But I mean, we bought a DR Power brush hog. I like DR Power. I like everything, but we bought the brush hog and it's been awesome. But we were carting it up here in the truck along with chainsaws and wood and all this stuff, and it just became too much. Plus, you know, we have the shepherd, so we wanted to bring the dog up, and sometimes driving up here, the weather wasn't good, so the dog would always have to, you know, we gotta have the dog in the car, which limits space for other stuff. Mm-hmm. So we knew, like, carting the chipper up here and the brush hog and just other equipment, chainsaws and stuff, we knew we needed a place to store it. So we wanted a shed, but we needed a cabin, hence the Shabin, and it worked out perfect. I mean, I said to Dayna, you know, we'll do like maybe just a short 1 or 2 minute video of
the inside.
I want to say a tour, but it would be like a 20-second tour.
Yeah, but again, I mean, there's videos that David has done over the last year that kind of show our day trips. I mean, we would drive up here, you know, 3.5 hour drive up, do about 3 hours worth of work, and then make the 3.5 hour drive back. So just because in the beginning it was you'd be 20 degrees up here, so we knew until the Shabin got up here, we didn't have anywhere to really stay, and you know, so we would build things at home in the backyard and then disassemble that stuff and bring it up here. So, you know, the base for the shed, you know, is big. It's much bigger. It's probably 4 feet bigger all the way around than the shed itself. Mm-hmm. So we you know, we built that at home, assembled everything, then disassembled it, packed it in the truck, brought it up here, then reassemble it, and you know, meeting some people around here would have rock delivered and spread rock, and then we'd get in a car and we'd drive all the way back, and it might be 3 or 4 weeks before we had a chance to get back up here again, and then we finally got, you know, the Shabin insulated and you know, sheathed, and got the wood stove, which was huge. I'll do a quick video on that too, because the stove's been awesome, and we spent a lot of time looking for different wood stoves, and you know, you're not obviously eating a huge space, but and just to interject, so like the brush hog and the chipper and the wood burning stove and the futon and a few other odds and ends, like they're all secondhand.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, it's amazing if you put the time in what you can find that are, you know, somebody bought and maybe only put a few hours on. And for whatever reason no longer need it. So, you know, again, you know, just kind of trying to
recycle, reuse, repurpose, you know, as much as we can. So that's a little bit about, you know, I guess how we got here.
Yeah.
And so what's our plan? My plan is to just stay here. I don't want to go home.
So I mean, our plan for the future is to be up here full time. You know, we want clear some more land. We'd like to build a permanent home. The goal of that home is to be, again, you know, off-grid, not connected to the electric, you know, some kind of water catchment system. There's plenty of precipitation up here, so we're not really concerned about that.
Yeah. We're all very, very used to the composting toilet. And, you know, we'll do solar up here.
But, you know, basically we call it a hybrid homestead. You know, it's just the two of us, but we'd like some type of orchard. We'd love to have some fruit trees.
Oh yeah.
You know, obviously
a
larger garden.
Yeah, can't wait to
that
expand
produces almost, if not all of, you know, our produce and our food. where we're located, I mean, the wildlife here is amazing. There's wild turkeys, there's deer.
We can definitely hunt where we're at, which is good.
Have some chickens.
Yeah, we want some livestock. We'd like to raise our own meat. And I mean, it's so hard at home. You know, you want to do it in the burbs, but it just can't happen. And now we're excited. You know, like I think sometimes you talk to yourself about what you want, and you know we're getting there. But even though we're not there yet, you talk about you got to be excited about where you are already. And
yeah, it for us. We talk about it a lot, that there's this balancing act that's going on. You know, we're balancing two very different lifestyles sort of simultaneously. You know, we've got southeastern Pennsylvania suburban life where we still have jobs and traffic and, you know, go to the supermarket. Like, it's still that normal.
Got to keep the lights on at the
paying
house.
The bills and paying the mortgage and at the same time this goal of a more self-sufficient, self-reliant, you know, harder work but more fulfilling and just a slower pace of life. Even though it's a busy life, it's still for us to be in nature and doing things like that is sort of slower paced than
yeah,
that.
We say
so. Yeah, so the balancing of it is a little tough sometimes. You start to get inundated with the is it going to happen? Are we going to get there? You know, you want that transition to happen right away, but for everybody, it just can't. It's not that clean cut of we dropped everything here and we moved here and started doing this. So there's a lot of
we live vicariously.
Yeah, I mean, the beauty of YouTube and the YouTube channels that we watch and we follow, you know, aside from being so educational, you know, we learn so much. David learns so much. They're also motivational for us. They kind of keep us inspired. They keep us encouraged. They keep like our eye on the prize that, you know, slow and steady, but we'll get there. You know, learning as much as we can vicariously, but then, you know, starting to put some things into action. Even on our quarter acre, you know, a lot of the gardening stuff, the seed starting, the coal tunnel, like a lot of the stuff that we do at home on our quarter acre as far as gardening has come from YouTube and books and
just research.
It really does help. It's very motivational. It keeps us encouraged. You know, that at some point we will make that transition. Yeah. You know.
And it's exciting, and hopefully you'll join us on that journey as we continue to kind of develop things and, you know, put in systems and, you know, just watch it grow. And, you know, hopefully things that we do can help you on your journey. If it's something that you guys are doing, you know, it feels awesome just to say that, because I know for years I watched other people say that same thing while I watched them build their homestead or, just develop, you know, their lifestyle. And now we get to kind of say that and it's real and it's happening, and, you know, we're do the best to document it. You know, I'm one of those guys that like finishes a project and says, oh, I should have grabbed the camera.
But also, you know, some things we like to keep in mind too is that, you know, minimalism and self-sufficiency doesn't have to be done on, you know, 5, 15, you know, 30 acres. You know, there are things hopefully that people take from us and take from the channels that we recommend and that we subscribe to that can be implemented in wherever they are, you know, to fit their lifestyle, to kind of just make those small changes or implement those few things that, you know, you can be self-sufficient and somewhat more self-sufficient even if you're in suburbia, you know, to fit your lifestyle. Not everybody has to just pack up and move out into the country. They can have their kitchen gardens, you know, if your township allows, you can have your chickens and have fresh eggs every day. Yeah. There are things you can do to scale back on your spending, or, you know, ways to sort of purge and minimalize what you have and donate things. And so all those little things that hopefully people will use in their own way.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier, like not everybody gets to just drop what they're doing and make that move. You know, for us, as much as we would love to do that, and it seems like at least once every other month we're saying, let's just leave, let's just go. You know, it just can't happen that way, unfortunately, at least right now. So, it's, you know, I don't know. It's, you can take some of these ideas and these thoughts and stuff and kind of implement them into your everyday life, regardless of where or what you're doing. But kind of before I forget too, Dayna said, you know, watching some of the other channels, you know, it is inspirational. And I mean, for me over the years, I mean, I didn't really know anything about gardening. You know, Dayna was the one that actually wanted the garden, and then I feel like I just went nuts on it. But just to say a quick thank you to, I mean, I could list a ton of different channels, but for 5 or 7, 8 years, I feel like I've watched some of these channels, and I'm not typically the guy that comments on stuff, and I sort of just watch or like, or you know, whatever the case may be. I don't really ask too many questions. Part of the fun part is, I guess, taking what you've kind of watched and learned and trying to sort of figure it out yourself. But just to say thank you to the Fouch family, you know, Fouch-O-Matic or Fouch family Off Grid, Nick and Esther. You guys are awesome. Your kids are awesome. We've loved watching your journey. The Mountain Dream House is super awesome. It's just been wonderful to watch. We miss you, actually, since there hasn't been a video in a little while. We've watched Off Grid with Doug and Stacy for, I don't know, at least 6, 7 years now, I feel like, and they've been huge. I mean, as Doug would say, I mean, he puts out all his nuggets, and you know, you take in what you can and learn a ton from that. But Boss of the Swamp has been a ton of fun to watch. As a matter of fact, when we
love spending our Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
We get our coffee, we get our dog. It's like our our thing.
His vlog with Frankie, and we've learned a ton from him. As a matter of fact, when he was selling one of his properties, we were like, let's just buy one. Let's just buy his property. But you know, I mean, there's a ton of other channels as far as, you know, both, you know, the off-grid living and the homestead side, as well as the gardening, and I mean, all those combined. Living Traditions Homestead is awesome. Kevin and Sarah. You know, most of you guys out there know, like MIGardener, Luke, awesome. 1 Yard Revolution is an amazing gardening channel. If you haven't, you know, watched any of those videos, you're missing out. I'm sure I missed a ton. Who's that? Oh, SSL Family Dad.
Yeah.
You know, their journey was awesome because, you know, again, you kind of watch this moving from the suburbs, you know, to their 20-acre working farm at this point, you know, which is awesome. And that's sort of been fantastic to watch. And again, there's a ton of channels we can mention, and I'm sure we'll mention them in some of the other videos. But I feel like we rambled on for a while.
We did.
Hopefully you got some tidbits, and you know, you learned a little bit about us. And
yeah.
You know, I thought forever I could take the Gary Pilarchik rusted garden approach and just never be on camera, but that's not going to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, some of the past videos, a little bit different format, mostly stills, some short video if you want to go back and check them out. And you know, from here on, we're going to do our best to, you know, try and film a lot of the stuff that, you know, as we do things, so that you can kind of watch and learn from them and see how the journey continues.
Any questions, we'll try and answer them. Any comments, we'll try not to be offended. No, I'm just
Yeah, you know, leave any questions, comments below. And you know, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. You know, most of the questions we're answering now were from the 50,000 subscribers, give or take 49,985 that were left below. So
we're huge in Belgium.
We're huge in Belgium, yeah. Yeah, subscribe, like, do all those good things. You can check us out on Instagram and Facebook, you know, ShabinLife. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, I'm Dave.
I'm Chainsaw.
And we'll see you at the movies.
You're such a good boy. Why don't you come here?
Okay, hold on.
Oh, wait.
So until next time, I'm Dave.
I'm Dayna.
That's Coda, and we'll see you at the Shabin.